Where to begin? What happens in my paintings, there's this element of fracture, a break, a line, which I put back to what did happen. There was a fracture. Things stopped. The family didn't continue in the same way. A lot of them were killed. It was a bit as if you were making a film and it stops, doesn't continue. And for me, trying to bridge that gap is what I try to do visually. And it's how I think of it. It's almost looking over your shoulder where there's a precipice behind you. It got broken and you got over just in time. And you wouldn't be there but for that break. It's a real break. And you're there because of it. Otherwise you wouldn't exist. And so it's trying to give expression to that and to use all sorts of elements like talismans, staircase, and a dog, which is a kind of running through consciousness, sensing what's going on. It's almost abstract, of a ruined landscape, war-torn, and there's this black dog just running off left. He sees all. He's chasing through these landscapes. This is an important painting for me, this one here. It's a sort of, a dog is rushing through a kind of bombed landscape, and he's in a hurry. He's been through lots of these landscapes and he's got messages, he's looking at it all. This one here is more to do with the dogs of war. They're called fire dogs. And dogs do come up in war stories. If there's no one to witness what's happening, you don't know that it exists. So the dog is a witness, and so it exists, and all these stories exist. There's no planned vision of it. I start and then it begins to be a dialogue in my mind. So it's toing and froing. It begins to spark, and that's when I know this is going somewhere. It's one huge hut going the length of the canvas. But things are happening within it. Landscapes are beginning to happen within it, and weather. So that all is going to sort of shift and change quite a bit. But it's coming, something's coming. I was born in Leamington Spa, which is the middle of England, which is very funny, really. Couldn't be more English. Once she landed up in a place, she didn't know where it was, she's looking for constantly looking for places to stay in. And she's wheeling the pram along with all the belongings and me in the middle. And she found this place with a very nice lady in charge, landlady. And I was coming up to my first birthday, and there were some lovely girls living in the house. And it turns out it was a brothel. My mother had no idea, absolutely none, and they took me off for my first birthday to the pub while my mum was out shopping, and I came back a bit sozzled. Actually, the painting started very early. When I was 1.5 years in Oxford, I had a major accident. I was scalded just down this side, and I went to the John Radcliffe Hospital, where a Portuguese or Spanish surgeon saved my life. He treated the burnt airman, and he had a new method, and there was penicillin. And he said to my mother, "Look, she needs to go to a nursery school. You're too nervous now after this." So my mother put me in a nursery school run by another refugee, a Czech woman called Unga. And she said to my mother, "The best thing is I'll put a paintbrush in her hand and she'll be all right." And that's when it started. Not really. My experiences as a child were sitting on the stairs, which was my play space, and I would sit there with my dolls, playing away. Well, people from the boarding rooms around the house would come and go. I would hear the wireless, and somebody would come down the stairs, go out, come back home. Somebody would run a bath. There was just the one bathroom. There was comings and goings, and I was a witness to all that. And it very much influenced me, this staircase. Many years later, we went to Israel, and we were walking in a fairly sort of neglected part of South Tel Aviv, and came across a sort of semi-ruined place, and you could see through an archway, and there was a yeshiva and a study place for young Jewish boys. And there was a staircase, and all you could see was the staircase, just some iron railings, and occasionally boys' feet running up and down. And I took a photograph of it. It somehow hit me. And I've been painting that staircase and drawing it ever since, and it keeps reappearing, and it ties back into the original staircase in Swiss Cottage. It's one of the bridges. It's one of the bridges from that past which suddenly stopped. Are they coming, or are they going, are they going up, are they coming down? Are they leaving? They're arriving. This is a hut on a hill, but it's not fixed, it's moving. So there's light and dark happening, and past and present, all mixed up. And I brought a little drawing that I'd done of Hugh in his parents' family's wood, and I put it into the middle of the paint, so it's a collage. The staircase is in there as well, so all sorts of elements. A lot of transience. Stuff is moving through it. There's a little figure at the end. Could be a little Ludwig, my grandfather. not sure. So it's about movement because there is also, it's resting on top of a moving water of a kind, or a moving cornfield being moved by wind. So it's all going from left to right, apart from the sky. And I think that sometimes they move in unison, and sometimes one moves faster than the other in those two sections down there. But it's like movement, water. It's not static, it's changing. It's like looking through, I don't know, like looking through several mirrors, really. Even look through a bit of that house. So it's a lot about illusion. And the colour one, surrounded by black, is, I think, an interesting one. What I like is the one above it, and to the right of the one above it. Those two, I think, are important pieces. It's difficult to explain. It just is right. And the one to the right of it is also a kind of work in progress, yes, but complete in itself, and as an abstract, or you can read things into it, but it's right, it came off. My mother acted in The Third Man, the film. She earned a bit of money, and she decided to sort of use that to buy into Englishness somehow, and a very English boarding school in the countryside. That's where I went for a good year and a half, and I actually loved it there because it was very settled. But I missed the family dreadfully. I mean, that was very difficult. When I got to Vienna, some things started to come together, and I began to recognise what was inspiring me, at least, and where part of me belonged, but not completely. So there was a big change, and because it was a sculpture school where I was at, I was the only painter. Had a profound influence, so that was another element, yes. I could have stayed, but no, this was too strong a pull over here. The language, the literature, the art, but I wanted to hang on to both. And certainly my family's background and feelings and experiences very much come from there, but a lot of experiences, say in that English country school, have a strong influence too. So they kind of mix and then they separate. It comes together and it goes apart again, a bit like painting.